Welcome to worship with the Universalist Unitarian Church of Peoria. My name is the Reverend Jennifer Innis. It is my great joy to be the minister with this congregation of all ages and all seasons of life. This is a beloved community striving to live into its mission of embracing freedom, loving wholeheartedly, growing in mind, body, and spirit, and adding to the wholeness and the healing of the world. We welcome people of all ethnicities and races, politics, sexual orientation, gender identities, social and economic situation, and abilities. We advocate for human rights, and we strive to be good stewards of this earth. And as part of our understanding of our network of relationships, we recognize that this is the ancestral home of the Peoria people. They and other nations were here long before the first European settlers came down the Illinois River. And so we take a moment in service to recognize the Peoria people for who they were and for who they are today. I want to thank folks for joining us in person and online. One of the lessons of the last several years in particular is how precious it is to come together, to be with other people, to expand our circles of care and kindness. And so welcome. If you are new to us, please help us get to know you. We have name tags. I hope you made it. I hope you were encountered by the ushers and the greeters on the way in. We also welcome you to stay after service. We welcome everybody to stay after service today. Join us for coffee and conversation in Fellowship Hall. Or if you're online, you're welcome to stay on and have a little Zoom conversation after service as well. I want to invite folks to check and turn your devices to worship mode, whether buzzy or silent in this moment. We always appreciate taking that extra moment these days because you just never know what thing is actually on when you thought it was not. I have a few notes for today. This Friday, 7 p.m. on April 18th, we are hosting the Unitarian Universalist musician Jim Scott for a multimedia presentation that he has created with a National Endowment for the Arts grant. It's called The Year to Save the Earth. And Jim created this as part of his real deep care for the preservation of our planet, for environmental concerns, and to help just motivate and inspire people to keep up with the good work. So I want to invite folks to join us for that evening. Also, that environmental groups locally are welcome to bring information to share in the foyer that evening. And I also would love a little bit of help with ushering and greeting as well. So see me for questions. We've had a little help already volunteered, but we could use a little bit more. So I appreciate it. Thanks. And please tell your neighbors, tell your friends, and come on down. Let's see. So we have, after service today, let me just invite Galen Fadley up to talk about the annual campaign, please.
Good morning. I'm Galen Fadley, and I have the honor of leading the annual campaign again this year. I want to invite you all to the kickoff event today. Please join us for lunch in Fellowship Hall after the service. To help make everything run smoothly, we have made it so you can pick up a plate and with your sandwich as you enter, and you may proceed directly to your table where you will find the rest of your meal and the tableware. Vegetarian, vegan, and gluten-free options are available upon request. Thank you for your attention. I hope to see you at lunch.
And I want to offer a note that our annual campaign is, if you're new to Unitarian Universalism or new to church life, our annual campaign is the moment when we talk about the vision casting for the coming year and also are able to ask for folks to make financial pledges for the coming year so that we can do great things in the next fiscal year. So just so you're wondering what that is. I hope you will join us and hear more about what we're looking towards and looking forward to for this coming year. And I also have a note just a little note for the caring committee. Just a reminder that we're going to, after we have the annual campaign lunch and so on, we're going to have a brief meeting to talk about some details because we have some plans and some touching base. So be in the conference room as soon as we can after the lunch happens today. And now I want to invite us to turn to our opening song. This month's theme is Living Love Through the Practice of Joy. And so we are learning the song This Joy from the Resistance Revival Chorus. And we're singing it as the first song in worship for every Sunday this month. I want to thank Kathy McNeil for her music today. So I want you to please rise in body or spirit, and I will sing with Kathy as we share the first verse, and then we'll start from the beginning all together. I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Now we sing. This joy that I have, the world didn't. All right. And let me invite BJ Lindsay forward for our opening words.
Good morning. Today's opening words are by Reverend Gretchen Haley. The title of this piece is Still So Much Good and Beauty and Joy. Come in, all who long to know how to love this world, how to keep eyes open, hands unclenched, arms wide, breathing deeply in and out. This is a time to practice, because there is still so much good and beauty and joy. But it can be hard to keep telling this tale with all the news and the wind and the rain and the trembling earth. Who wants to love this life anyway? Come in, all who teeter on this edge of cynicism, broken-hearted and trying still to remember laughter and kindness and the chance to be alive in these days when so much is at stake. In this place, we remind each other why we persist, giving each other courage to take this path that is not always easy to keep practicing. This love that cannot, will not let us go and still calls us on. Come, let us worship together.
And I invite Regina and Riley up for the chalice lighting.
It's Flung by Reverend Scott Taylor. Joy doesn't simply arise, it flies, it flings. No, it is flung, it is passed, it is spread between you and me, between the one who just received a gift and the one who has been looking for it for oh so long. It's a beautiful and elegant contagion over which we have more control than we know, if only we share it. If only we notice that joy is not ours to keep, but ours to pass on. So let's light up the world, friends. Joy blesses us with its exuberance, so we can make that blessing grow.
I'm sending you light to hold you, to heal you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. I'm sending you light to hold you, to heal you. I'm sending you light to hold you in love. This is the time for our lighting of candles and our music for meditation. All are welcome to come forward for a chance to light candles and make a small light that acknowledges what is with you and within you. And if you are online, I invite you to let these candles be for you. Let us enter now into our music for meditation. Abraham Heschel reminds us the prayer invites God to be present in our spirits and in our lives. Prayer cannot bring water to a parched land, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. This is the time for the sharing of joys and sorrows of the congregation. I want to offer a couple of joys. One, thank you to everybody who was here yesterday for the actions in the resistance led by Jesse Laughlin, that we had a great conversation, a mix of people from the congregation, from outside the congregation, and we'll be looking forward to seeing kind of what we can do next, how to be connected next in the course of things. I also have a joy, upcoming joy from the Peterson family. So Lindy Peterson's grandmother, Tomiko C., will celebrate her 94th birthday on Tuesday. So congratulations to Tomiko C. for reaching such an auspicious age. In our larger world, this is the intersection of many cultures and religious practices. This weekend marks the beginning of Passover in the Jewish tradition. And so, in that spirit, I offer a prayer for Passover from Kohenet Kashira Halev Fif. And she talks about Passover. That's the recounting of the Hebrews' escape from enslavement in Egypt and its kind of celebration thereof. One of the words in Hebrew that's important in the Passover recognition is dayenu, which is Hebrew for enough, and lo dayenu is not enough, essentially. So this prayer offered today is intended as an acknowledgement that while we have much to be thankful for, that in many ways it is not enough. And this is not because there aren't many blessings for which we can be grateful, because dayenu cannot be limited to an individual's experience, especially when so many are yearning for freedom. And so, if we gather round the Seder table in joy and don't make room for tears, lo dayenu. If we tell our ancient story and don't make room for the modern one, lo dayenu. If we ask the four questions and don't extend our curiosity beyond, lo dayenu. If we name the 10 plagues in the Haggadah and don't consider what kind of plagues are happening today, lo dayenu. If we enjoy a Seder meal and don't at least acknowledge the many people in Gaza and beyond who are starving, lo dayenu. If we say, let all who are hungry come and eat, and we exclude those whose perspectives don't match ours, lo dayenu. If we acknowledge the crisis in Gaza and don't call for its end, lo dayenu. If we say ceasefire now and don't uplift the need for hostage release, lo dayenu. If we read about the news and don't stop to feel its impact, lo dayenu. If we are active on social media and don't take action offline, lo dayenu. If we commit to fighting anti-Semitism and don't commit to fighting Islamophobia, lo dayenu. If we notice our fear and don't interrogate its origin, lo dayenu. If we tell the story of our liberation and don't remember that it was and still is collective, lo dayenu. When we believe in freedom for us and for everyone and commit to working towards it, only then will we be able to say, dayenu. Let us hold one more moment together. For in our circle, we have room for all of the names, all the milestones, the joys and sorrows that are with us, that are among us, whether spoken or silent, in another moment. Let us hold one more moment in quiet together. I invite you to breathe with me and pause. Shalom, salam, amen, and blessed be. And now I invite Jesse Laughlin forward for the story.
Reverend Jennifer and Galen mentioned that our pledge campaign kicks off after worship today. We get to take a moment and dream about the ways that we are going to plan for the coming year. But we're not just planning for next year. We're planning for deep, deep into the future. Just like many, many years ago, folks planned for this moment. Our story today is The More You Give, and let's imagine how we can give deep into the future. Once there was a wide open field and a little boy who lived with his grandmother. He loved his grandmother, and she loved him back. The grandmother gave the boy many gifts. Big hugs, bigger laughter, and the biggest Sunday morning pancakes. But she had more to give. Small gifts like acorns. Most of the gifts that she gave the boy were ones that could not be held in his hands, like the wisdom about how things grow. When will this be bigger than me? He asked. And so his grandmother gave him another gift, patience. The boy had many, many birthdays, and the tree grew and grew. The boy's grandmother had birthdays, and he gave her many gifts. But most of all, he gave his love. Until one day, the boy lost his grandmother. Slowly, very slowly, happiness spread its roots again. And the boy's grandmother had already taught him how to ask for help. And so he did. The boy grew tall with wondering. And once there was a not so wide open field and a girl who loved her father. And the father gave the girl many, many gifts, like plump strawberries and tiny, shiny acorns. But he had much more to give, like all of his wisdom about how things grow. And when will it be bigger than me? The little girl asked her father. And he explained that love, even when given in the smallest of things, can spread. So together they watered and weeded. And the girl grew and the trees grew. And once there was a field dotted with trees and a boy who loved his mother. And the boy's mother gave him pancakes made with her great grandmother's recipe, topped with strawberries from her father's strawberry patch, and told bedtime stories about their family and its love of green growing things. And the boy's mother gave him acorns, and together they planted and watered and weeded. And from their secret space, which wasn't very secret, the boy and his mother shared their wisdom with anyone and everyone about how things grow, like trees and people and kindness. And the boy always had more to give, and he always got love in return. For once, there was a forest. I wonder what forest we're growing here. I wonder how we'll stretch into the future. I invite the kids to join me and the adult volunteers in RE.
My colleague, the Reverend Paul Beadle, reminds us that once upon a time, most folks use the offering plate. There's a plate that we pass to fulfill their pledges, this analog plate that goes around. Oh, we still do that. Nowadays, a lot of folks click on their church websites or set up automatic transfers, for which we are deeply grateful. Still, some write a monthly check, a weekly check. They pay the church bill along with all the others. And passing the plate is never just a mere spiritual exercise. It has always been a ritual. Even if one's pledge is paid up, it is worthwhile to bring a little something to drop into the plate as a form, as a ritual reminder of love, that love we call generosity. So let it be a reminder that after meeting our obligations to ourselves and our households and our communities to which we belong and are committed, that we still get to keep alive our capacity to give in all ways. So, this practice of giving until it is second nature and first response helps bring forth the realm of love. We also give a portion of our offering back out into the world through our practice of sharing the plate. We share half of the undesignated plate that we gather each Sunday with a local group that is doing good work. And so for the month of April, our share of the plate is going to Central Illinois Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Uh, this center provides support and encouragement to the blind and visually impaired. They've been doing this since 1955. They do things as practical as teaching Braille and helping folks set up their households, but they also provide social and emotional engagement and support in this time. So, for our Share the Plate, half goes to Central Illinois Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired, half goes to the church. So, I invite you to use an envelope in the pew and indicate where you'd like your donation to go to, or go to the QR code to make an online donation. And I thank you for all of the gifts that we receive. So now I invite the ushers to please come forward. Our readings for today are two pieces from Adrienne Maree Brown, who is a Black educator and author and speaker. And she says, oppression makes us believe that pleasure is not something that we have access to. One of the ways that we start doing the work of reclaiming our full selves, the whole liberated, free selves, is by reclaiming our access to pleasure. As a Black woman in this country, she says, I have to walk around every day knowing that had I been born at a different time in this country's history, it would have been a policy, like part of the law, that I could be raised for the pleasure of whoever owned me in that time. I'm trying to come all the way back from that to living in my own dignity and the like, the self-actualization of my own pleasure, of my own body, not for someone else to use, not for someone else to have ownership of. Second reading from another source, she says, true pleasure, joy, happiness, and satisfaction has been the force that helps us move beyond the constant struggle, that helps us live and generate futures beyond the dystopic present, futures worthy of our miraculous lives. Pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the ways we know we are free, that we are always free, that we always have the power to co-create the world. Pleasure helps us move through the times that are unfair, through grief and loneliness, through the terror of genocide, or days when the demands are just overwhelming. Pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirit get wounded. Pleasure reminds us that even in the dark, we are alive. Here ends the readings. I invite you to rise, body, or spirit for our hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit by musician Jim Scott, who will be with us next Friday evening. Gather the Spirit, our heart and mind. So I begin with 3 short stories. As a theater person and as a student of history, I enjoy looking at fashion and how it has evolved over time, especially relative to physical activity. So in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, it's a fascinating time in this country of radically changing social roles for gender and general enthusiasm for exercise as a boost for health. I mean, you think we had a kind of an exercise craze in the 80s and the 90s? Let me tell you, the 1800s, they were getting it going. They were inventing bicycles, they were inventing exercise wacky, crazy machines that were trying to accomplish muscle building and toning for all genders and many ages. And I'm also aware of how difficult the clothing they chose made it. So, over 100 years ago, women went to great lengths to cover the fact they were riding bicycles with split skirts. Ooh. They had these panels that would button down on either side of the front of the leg over the split skirt. So when they were riding the skirt, and this was comfortable and modest and everything, they were fine. But then when they got off the bike, they had to button up these panels so it looked like they were just wearing a skirt, not, pants. Not that they had, legs that could move freely. Oh my. What a fascinating policing of the body, even when there was social encouragement for movement or exercise. I want to also keep in mind that particular period was that run up those last decades to women getting the vote in this country. We seem to still be struggling with the body and the vote, don't we? So let me turn to 1969 and the riots at the New York bar Stonewall that included transgender Black and people of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. How that population, how that uprising got started was a fighting back against the relentless police raids in one of the few places where lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer questioning folks could gather for company, for survival, even while risking arrest and public exposure and public condemnation. A year after those riots was the first Pride March, was the first out and about statement of we are here and we are public and we are not going away. And it kicked off the whole gay rights movement. And it has evolved into celebrations across the nation, including here in Peoria in July. Third story here is more contemporary. There was this family cookout in April 2018 in Oakland, California, a local park. A Black family was grilling outside, and a white woman came over to them and called the police on them. She called the police on this Black family because they were using charcoal in a non-charcoal area. That was worth calling the police for. And confronted this family who was simply trying to enjoy a day at the park. But the confrontation showed how much this was more about a race moment than anything else. And the incident opened up the conversation and how much African Americans were not able to enjoy time in public, not able to enjoy simple daily living without the risk of having the police called on them by white folks. And the community responded. A few weeks after that incident in April, they had what they called a barbecuing while Black event on that same spot. Hundreds of people gathered in solidarity and to simply have a good time. And they had music and vendors and dance concerts and more. We talk about self-care and health. We talk about joy and arts and expression and writing and music. And yet, yet our understanding of joy and pleasure and simply feeling good is at best mixed in our predominantly Western culture. The joy of feeling good is deeply entwined with who can be public in their expression of joy and how. White women are still interrupted by white men who try to insert themselves into a ladies' night out. Black women are criticized when they're out at dinner for being too loud and too enthusiastic. Folks who just talk about their families, who are in same-gender marriages and might just simply talk about their spouse or talk about their children, they are flaunting that lifestyle. We have so limited how and when a person can be fully human. It is part of the legacy of oppression that is part of white supremacy culture that places everyone who is not white, not straight, not male, not able-bodied at increasingly lower levels of culture. It is difficult enough to exist. It's difficult enough to be human. And what is also difficult is to thrive and express that irresistible human impulse and the need for happiness, the need to feel good. We want to feel good. For those populations who have been most marginalized, especially as Adrienne Maree Brown talks about it, there is an expectation that if one is living under oppression, then there's not a whole lot of permission for joy in the midst of the depth of the struggle. But the poet Toy Derrycoat says, joy is an act of resistance. Joy is an act of resistance. Feeling good is an act of liberation. As Adrienne Maree Brown talks in her book, Pleasure Activism, The Politics of Feeling Good, she cites Audre Lorde, also a Black woman, a Black author, who spoke of pleasure and the erotic as an awakening of the self as much as the body, and Maree Brown asks herself, when did I unlearn pleasure? When did I unlearn pleasure? And she says, it's when I look back and see that there was an ancestral unlearning of a pleasure way back on the Black women of this country have been trained to be in service to others with our bodies rather than be in pleasure with our bodies. That the very body is not one's own. She says, I realize that we're not the only ones, that almost every human on the earth in some way has been disconnected from their natural relationship to the planet, for their natural relationship to themselves, from their natural relationships to each other, and that pleasure is one of the ways we know God. She continues, it's actually a measure of freedom, this experience of pleasure. It's a way to say, I have decolonized myself. I have returned to myself. I have been healing against oppression. And to become integral with self-motivated and empowered from within the touch, I become less willing to accept powerlessness, she says, or those other states of being which are not native, such as resignation and despair, depression and self-denial. There is such a weight in oppression. Austin Channing Brown talks about this. Black girls and Black women alike have our joy misconstrued as disrespectful, as arrogant, or perpetually inappropriate. Our joy is suspicious. And what right do we have joy when we have so much work to do? We aren't just pursuing racial justice when we are organizing or voting or protesting or speech making or volunteering or working. We are also pursuing justice when we indulge in joy. And I would say that this applies to all people, African American, people of color, indigenous folks, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, and queer plus, to folks experiencing ableism, classism, gender, mental health concerns, mental and emotional disabilities, learning differences. There is joy in every marginalized population, as there should be. But it also applies, this question of joy and liberation applies to us all, and justice, because every one of us, including the ones that have been set up as the apex of the supremacy, white men, have also been constrained in feeling, have also been told how and when to feel pleasure, how and when to treat others and respect their bodies, and so on. We need equity in access, in joy, and in liberation for us all. My liberation is wrapped up with yours, no matter who I am and who you are. Our liberal religious response is very much in this line. We affirm liberty, expression, freedom. We affirm power and agency and choice in spiritual exploration, in theology, in people having a voice in our congregations, and also in the creation of our community. One of the most powerful examples of how we do this for the liberation of us all is in our comprehensive sexuality education programs that we have been known for decades. It was about your sexuality when I was a teenager. It's now our whole lives, and it covers children and youth and adults of all ages. It begins with affirming the body and the spirit at the very youngest ages. It affirms agency and consent and biology and diversity. It follows with, as you get progressively developmentally appropriate, it follows with relational questions and understanding of the self so that we may make choices in line with our values and also simply be curious. We get to wonder and laugh together and discover together and try and mess up and try again. We have ways to learn and explore vocabulary and sexuality across the human life. And we get to, that's one of the ways we witness and are active in this world, but on the daily basis in our congregational lives, we have so many places of joy that helps us get out into the world and do the things we feel called to do. We have the joy of being together, of exploring, of wondering. As I think I said last week, this congregation finds joy in its coffee hour. You coffee hour hard. It's excellent. And this is from someone, my mother put the hour in coffee hour, so I know. You simply want to enjoy being together, and this is a good thing. We call each other into activity, into justice, into working together for everybody's benefit. I think last Saturday at the Hands Off protests, there was a wonderful feeling good on the local response, on the national response, about the success of that moment and the range of people showing up. It was people who have been showing up and protest and rallying and witnessing for decades. Yes, there were so many signs that said, I have been protesting this heck for 40, 50, 60 years. But there were also people for whom those were their first moments of showing up. And it wasn't just like teenagers or preteens coming to their first protest. It was also people saying, my dad is here for the first time ever, and he's in his 70s. There was and is a power in finding ways to feel good. And feeling good itself is a political act. We can act up. Octavia Butler, African-American author, science fiction writer, talks about this in every dystopian, post-apocalyptic world she writes. People who are certainly struggling and trying to find their way. And in every story, there are people who find love. In every story, there are people who dance. In every story, there are people who create music, who find places to wonder and savor and just taste and feel into the world. Because she tells us and reminds us simply by creating those characters about the human need to feel good, to love and play and make music and cook and play games. This is for the entirety of the world, this work of feeling good. Adrienne Maree Brown reminds us that simply doing this internally, not just for the world, although that's certainly, but also making sure we're doing this internally about this experience of pleasure. It helps us decolonize our own minds and checks us when we find our limits. She says our own internal conversation is the front line to shifting the message and habit and saying yes to pleasure, saying yes to celebration, saying yes to joy. It matters that each of us finds ways to feel good, to enjoy this life, and to take heart in someone else's joy as well. And this act of seeking and liberation and joy, it affirms our theology as well, that dignity and worth of every person, how justice comes to us all when each of us is more whole and more healed, how we are deeply interconnected, and how we should be able to have the opportunity to feel wonderful. So we can take that spirit that feeling good is a political act and go forward. We are in this moment of beginning our annual campaign, which the theme is Rise to the Moment. And so we are being asked in this time, in the year to come, well, certainly in this moment, if you're at all attending to the daily news, but also for the year to come, we are being asked to stretch in mind and body and spirit for our own liberation, for our collective liberation. So that song of this joy, passing along in that song, this joy, this love, this peace, it is with me whenever and wherever. It is with me in all places. The world cannot take that power from me. And in that spirit, we pass that along. We nurture that in our congregations and in ourselves as we pass along joy and celebration and nurturing and caring for the world to our children, as we heard in the story. We pass along growth and patience and tending and abundance so that we may pass along a world renewed to this generation, to the next generation, to those we will never meet, a world of joy and love. So let us go forth and rise in this moment and feel great about it. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit and join me for singing our closing hymn, number 1018, Come and Go With Me.
final words this evening or this morning, Faith Like a Light by James Galinsky. Our faith, like a light, illuminates the path before us so that we can face hurt with love, cultivate compassion, live humbly in community, and confront despair with the awe of life.
Unitarian ancestor and abolitionist Theodore Parker. Be ours of religion, which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, and ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Our worship is ended. Let our service begin.